Look how far we've come, all the things we've done. Did it all with love, beauty from the bottom up. All I want is you, you're my favorite view. But there's nothing new, girl, you made my heart beat.
And we are back.
We are back, bumble bitches.
I think this might be Valentine's Day.
Oh.
I think this might be a Valentine's Day drop. Let's see.
I hate Valentine's Day.
It is. This episode will go live on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope that consumerism and society pressured you really hard into buying something for someone that you love because you're supposed to on this day instead of doing it because you love them and you thought about them in the moment because you know priorities.
Yeah.
Is it obvious that I have a disdain for that shit?
Yeah, I would rather take the random pine needles on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Or the box of chocolates on a Tuesday.
Yep.
Versus a $800 extravagant whatever once a year.
Yeah. Give them a happy Valentine's Day greeting. Give them a kiss and then go about your life. Mm-hmm. I know that's taboo, and I know that a lot of people are going to want what they want and they do the holiday thing. I don't want you to ever buy me something because you feel obligated. It devalues all of it.
Right.
And if that's the only time you ever get something from your person, they're clearly not thinking about you.
I agree with that.
Okay, so now that I just did all that because I didn't realize this was going to be a Valentine's Day until I sat down and it dawned on me that I've been doing calendar stuff all morning.
Yeah.
You just recorded episode 3 of The Good Wives. How'd that go?
Hey guys, little quick interruption. If you're enjoying the content, please leave a like. And also don't forget to comment. We enjoy interacting with you guys and hearing your opinions, and it helps the algorithm.
It's also free to do, and if you really want to help make sure the show continues to do, hit the subscribe button and share the content across your social medias. It costs you nothing, and it greatly helps the show.
It went great. I cried.
Yeah?
We did the 5, I hate that I keep saying we did the 5 love language breakdown and how that looks different from men to women, and I kind of laid it on thick.
Was that different than when we've done it?
Yeah, I think so. I was also almost 3 years ago, so I don't really remember what we talked about or broke down.
Well, we've done it twice. We did it once on a live stream, and then we did like an actual book breakdown. But I was just curious because you were talking to another woman versus talking to me, like if it felt like a different recording.
Yeah, it felt like a different conversation.
That's good. So Friday content, which means it's not going to be a super long episode. You and I are just going to have a couple quick discussions about things. And the thing that I would like to talk about today is decompression in the home and what it looks like for stay-at-home moms.
Okay.
And the reason I want to have that discussion because as you saw, I made a video. We made a clip from an actual podcast talking about how, you know, if your man is sitting in the driveway for 30 minutes when he gets home decompressing and he comes in the house, the last thing he wants to walk into is a war zone. And somebody was like, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I don't get to separate work from home life. Where's my decompression? Where's the conversation with your man that you need decompression? Right. Mm-hmm. You think that we're just going to walk in and know that you had a shitty day? If there's been no communication had back and forth, how the hell are we supposed to know what you need? So I was very polite in the conversation that I had on the follow-up TikTok where I was talking directly to that person. And I touched on I see what you did there because of the play on words of how can I leave it at the door? Because I said you guys need to leave that shit at the door, not bring your hard days into your home because it will affect your wife and your children. And she was like, I don't get to leave my hard days at the door.
Because she's inside the door.
As a stay-at-home.
Yeah.
And I made a whole little video about that. But so in our situation, our communication is probably not like the top tier, upper echelon, super platinum edition. But I want to say that we're like at least diamond edition, right? Like
I would say that we are definitely making our way to be on par with the Gottmans.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so.
Damn.
I take a lot of pride in our relationship and the way we can communicate.
Okay.
The way that we can listen and understand as well, even if it takes a few tries and there's frustration going on because I don't know how else to say this.
Yeah, I get that. So, so then how would you express what you need? How would that look? Let's just say that you're having a really bad day as a stay-at-home.
Okay.
And we did our work shit early in the morning because there are stay-at-home moms who work from home and they're still stay-at-homes. I don't give a fuck when anybody says you're still a stay-at-home mom, even if you are working from home. If you're taking care of your kids and you're doing that shit, you're a stay-at-home mom. Kids have been unruly as a motherfucker. There's been snot. There was an unexplained vomiting They're not listening. Schoolwork's not getting done. The dog shit in the house. Like, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. You know I'm going to be home in an hour and a half. This is just fuck this entire day. How is this? How are you handling this whole situation?
So the way that I work, I need 3 things to happen before I bring it to your attention. So if one thing happens, that's just an inconvenience of the day. If 2 things happens, okay, this kind of sucks, but I'm still chugging along. If a 3rd thing happens within a 2-hour time span, babe, I'm having a bad day. I'm having a rough mental time. The children aren't listening, X, Y, and Z. When you get home, whatever. Now, your decompression time looks
So wait a
different.
minute, is that a phone call?
It would be a text message.
Okay.
Because I don't know what you're in the middle of.
Okay.
I always, not always, but typically I'll message you and be like, hey, are you open for a phone call, or are you in the middle of anything right now?
Right. That's super important.
I want your undivided attention on the phone. And
Right.
if you're looking at 4 different websites and you're talking to 3 different people trying to figure out business things, I'm not going to have your undivided attention on the phone call.
Right.
And then if I were to do that, if I were to call you when you're knee deep in a bunch of other things, I take pride in, I still take things personally, but I don't take everything personally anymore. And old me would have taken that lack of attention super personal. And in messaging you like, hey, are you available for a phone call real quick? Or I'm having a really bad day and I need to talk to you. I just need to hear my man's voice. So if I don't message those things and I just call you out of the blue and you're not giving me that undivided attention, well, clearly I'm not important enough to him.
Right. Well, what happens if you do call and I'm like, hey, I can't talk right now. Let me call you back in an hour.
Okay.
Or 2 hours. Well, if you're having a panic,
Yeah.
and I shut that down because you didn't send a text message first to be like, can you even be on a call right now? I think that's something that people need to reevaluate. If your home life is at home and that is what your world looks like and mine is outside of the house, you have no idea what I'm going through throughout the day.
Right.
I don't know what you're going through either. All right, guys, as you know, there was a TikTok scare. We lost the app for a whole 12 hours and we have no idea what the future of the app looks like. And with that, we are very concerned about the loss of our following. We have amassed almost 3 million followers across that platform with all 4 of our accounts. And we are trying to push people to other social media platforms so that in the event that anything happens on one app, we have multiple other backup plans. If you want to make sure that you're not missing any content, we highly recommend that you check out our Patreon.
On Patreon, we have multiple tiers to choose from. Starting at $10, you begin to receive exclusive content. At $15 a month, you get access to our private Discord server where we've amassed an absolutely amazing community of supportive people. And beyond that, we have other tiers to check out, along with my 2 private women's group, if that's something you may be interested in.
Guys, on our $15 and higher tier, you have access to live recordings. We record all of our content 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, live in front of our Patreon audience, where they are able to chat with us while we're recording. They get to see all the flirting, the outtakes, the hot topic conversations that never actually make it on the podcast. And it's really worth that aspect in itself. We have an After Dark where we sit down usually once a week and have a glass of bourbon, or in Peach's case, a glass of wine and a bowl of cheese. And we have a whole lot of fun conversations, karaoke in the Discord. We finish the lyrics. We literally just hang out and you guys get to hang out with us. There is a host of other perks, including Zoom calls that are coming for the ultimate tier. So that if you guys are having problems, you can talk to us. It also gives you the heads up on private meet and greets, because when we travel, we try to meet up with people on our Discord on a regular basis. There's a whole slew of other perks that come through Patreon. I highly recommend that you check it out.
The best way to support what we are doing is to share the content. The second best way is to check out our Patreon. Thank you guys for being here. So in sending that text message, I also have borderline. So if I'm already hyper emotional, my day is going to shit, the children are being terrorists in the household, and I burned something for dinner, I'm already not okay. So the likelihood of me taking something personally just went from like 0.3% to like 85%. So in sending that message, I'm skirting that whole situation. So that's not going to be another thing on my plate. And then it would be a conversation of, when can I have decompression time when you get home? You know, if you're like, I want to get home, I want to take a shower, I haven't eaten all day, so I want to get something in my stomach, give me 45 minutes to an hour. I'm counting down the minutes. I'm going to make sure the food's ready for you. So that saves, 20 minutes right there? You don't have to cook for yourself. I'll make sure food's ready. If you are not somebody who has texture issues, I would lay out clothes for you. But you never know what's going to fit right until you put it on.
Oh, man, the struggle's real with that shit.
So I'm not, because I feel like that would add more to your plate.
It could.
Like it would be overwhelming for you, even though it was an attempted at a loving gesture. It's relationships are, I'm not going to say in give and take. It's kind of like tug of war, but we're not fighting each other. We're trying to balance something on this rope. And if I pull too hard, the thing's going to fall. If you pull too hard, the thing's going to fall. We're going to fall. So it's a very delicate dance. But I would just reach out and be like, babe, I'm not okay right now, and I need my husband.
Okay, so what do you say to the people who do make the phone call without the text message and get super upset that their husband is unable to give them the time of day in that moment because they need their husband in that moment because they're having a meltdown? And let me give you a scenario.
Okay.
So let's say that you don't know what's happening, right? And you just call, and I'm like, hey, I'm dealing with some shit right now. Let me call you back in an hour. And you just unload on me. And what I'm actually dealing with is that one of my employees cut off a finger while adjusting a lawnmower blade or sharpening a lawnmower blade, or I'm working at a deli and somebody cuts off half their boob because they're leaning too close to the slicer, which I actually know somebody who cut their breast off.
That's insane.
Whole different conversation. Or my boss just came in and fucking reamed me out because I am 3 hours behind on a project that should have been turned in at 9 a.m. for a meeting at 9:30. And now I'm crunch time trying to get this done. So I am behind enemy lines trying to get everything done as quickly as I fucking can in my work life so that I can continue to provide the way that I need to. You don't know any of that.
Right.
So I could be going through a whole lot of shit right now and be like, hey, I need an hour. And if you unload on me at that moment, how are we supposed to recover from that? Because now I'm fighting a war on all sides. I no longer have any type of anything in my life that's not combative.
The thing that I would say to those women who feel that way, you're not the center of your universe. Why would you be the center of his? Right? If you have house chores to do, you have children to take care of, making sure your man has everything that he needs, to be alive is to be of service to others. So I think that it's a very selfish thing to expect that, for everything to be dropped in the moment to cater to you. Hopefully everything that your husband does is for the benefit of you and the family. Hopefully you didn't marry a selfish man, and if you did, why did you choose him? I also know if I were to call you in a panic attack, say I didn't send the text message and I just call you and I'm crying, it's going to be, babe, I'll call you back in 45 minutes. You're strong. You fucking got this. You're my wife. I wouldn't have married you if I didn't think you were capable of handling things. I love you. I'll call you back. There's going to be like a crunch time of support. It's not going to be, I'll call you back in 45 minutes, hang up. But that's also not the kind of man that I married.
Well, what if that was the case? If somebody cut off a finger or like was wounded, like if they really fucked themselves up and I am the one that's putting out all the fires, dealing with everything, I may not have the ability to deal with your emotional outburst or your panic attack right now while I'm dealing with whatever the fuck I'm dealing with. So is there grace in the event that I was like, I can't do this right now, I'll call you in 45 minutes and I hung up? Because that's not your husband. That's not how I normally. Would you understand that there's an emergency right now?
100%.
Okay.
It would also be a distraction for me because now there's something greater going on in the world than just my whatever I'm going through in the moment.
Okay.
It would be a grounding moment for me. I'm crazy. My mental illnesses are a lot. When I'm going through it, I'm going through it. Because you're not that person, if that were to happen, oh shit, there's something really going on right now. Because I'm not the center of your universe, but you do treat me like it. Like a lot. I know I'm going to start crying. I know that everything you do is for the betterment of our marriage and our family. And if in a moment it feels like that's not the case, there's something bigger going on. And there would be grace in that.
You think that you'd be able to reel it back in the moment?
I would have to.
It's one of those easier said than done things, I think. But
100% is easier said than done. You know, there's times where the children are too much. Our son is fighting me on his homework. I have 15 minutes to get dinner going. I still have laundry to do. She just threw up on the floor. Like, life can be overwhelming. And those are times where I step outside and I just cry. I'll go outside and I'll scream. I do what I need in the moment. So I think in moments, and I'm going to speak on me personally, where the only thing that will make me feel better is crying and screaming my lungs out. It's because I haven't found a way to cope in the moment. And that is that primal 3-year-old me. I don't know what emotion I'm feeling. I just want to scream about it. That's what's happening.
Well, a release is a release.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's healthy as long as you're able to recognize that that's what you're doing in the moment.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it as a tantrum.
Yeah. And it's also nobody else's problem but my own to be going through that in that moment. It's not your job to fix me. It is your job as my husband to support me. That's what's in our vows and what our marriage is built on. But I don't expect you to have all the answers in the moment. If I don't have the answers, you might know what could soothe me in the moment, give me a hug, go for a walk, those kinds of things. I think so many women lean on their man to have all of the answers in life, and for them, like a toxic codependency. I'm trying to find a way to phrase this so it makes sense.
There is actually a term for that. And now that you said that, I can't think of it, but there's a term for that.
If you can't make sure that you're okay, how is somebody else supposed to make sure that you're okay?
Right. Well, if you don't know what you need, how the fuck am I supposed to know?
Right.
And that was going to lead into my next question is if you are going through that. Actually, you know what? Let's not go there yet. I wanted to actually present a second scenario. Let's say that I did have that really bad day at work where I was behind the gun the whole time, fighting to get shit done. Boss is freaking the fuck out. I'm overly stressed. And all of this is my fault, by the way. Because you got a fucking deadline.
Right.
I procrastinated. I allowed other people's projects to take priority, whatever the case may be. But all day long, I have been go, 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 go. And all I want to do is go home and fucking decompress and turn my phone off. You've had a day where all you want to do is go take a bath or whatever it is that you want to do. Mm-hmm. How do we navigate those days? Because though they're not that common, I don't believe that they're that common where people both have that horrible fucking existence.
Yeah.
How do we navigate that?
We're going to tag team it.
So what does it look like?
So I can't help you in your work life. I'm going to say this, and this is going to piss people off. If you're a stay-at-home mom, your job is to take care of the household. If you're not going to go to your husband's job and help lay asphalt or do accounting, why would he come home and help with the dishes?
Well, because he lives here too. That's the argument.
I hate that argument.
I do too. It's bullshit.
I think that is an argument that is said to placate laziness, to placate depression, that I don't want to do this right now, so he should do it because he lives here too. That is, if you need help with your job, you ask for help with your job. You don't get shitty about it. I don't remember what you asked me.
So how do we navigate when we both have those really bad days? And you said we tag team it.
We take turns. Who had the worst day? You know, if you had to deal with medical emergencies, or the example that you gave where you procrastinated, whose day, right? 'Cause you can't really compare the two.
Right.
But you can tell who's more worn out. Who needs that decompression time first? You know, I've spent all day with the children. I can spend another hour with the children. If you've been at work all day and you're short-tempered and you're not able to handle the child's temper tantrums or whatever, I don't want there to be a moment of, oh, I shouldn't have said that to the kids.
Right.
Or I could have handled that better with the children because you are so burnt out and at the end of your rope. Yeah. I'm willing to sacrifice that little bit of extra time to make sure you're okay, to make sure we're okay, so that I can then go take my decompression time, or vice versa.
So here's where I'm at. And I've thought about this, I guess, a lot because of that message. Kids are easy. They're not. Kids are a fucking nightmare. Yeah. And I would not, like, could I do the stay-at-home thing? Absolutely. And I would nail it. It would take a little bit of an adjustment for me to get to that point to live in dad mode all the time. But I 100% believe that I could rock that fucking job. However, I don't want to do that job. In the event that I was a stay-at-home and you had, and the roles were reversed and I was doing this and I was having a really bad day and all of that was going on and the kids were just being too much, you know what I would do? I message you, text message you. I know you're going to be home in an hour, maybe hour and a half. I have had enough of this day. I'm going to drive through Starbucks and I'm going to get whatever sugary fucking drink that's going to make me calm down, and I'm taking the kids to the park. They have been too much. I'm going to let them run around until they're exhausted. I will be home an hour after you get home. I need you to decompress, and then I'm going to decompress.
Yep.
Kids want to play.
Yeah.
Look what I can do. They become fucking Stewie the moment you hit the playground. You can make them play tag, or it's very easy to get them to try new shit. Let me see how many times you can cross the monkey bars.
Right.
Root them on while you're sipping your fucking sugary Starbucks on the bench. And when you calm down and you realize that you've got a lot of in you, you can run and play tag with the kids and freeze tag, and you know what I mean? Like, you can do things like that. And that hour or two, though it is inconvenient because now you're not doing house chores, is a moment for you to take a breath.
Yes.
It's no different than the drive home from work. We live in a small town. Drive home from work for me is 5 minutes. Well, it's 15. It's actually 15 minutes from the studio to the house. But I can take back roads and not get stuck in traffic very fucking easily. Now, if I had to drive across I-4 or down 95 or 75 to get home from work at rush hour, I'm going to need a lot more than an hour, because by the time I get home, I don't even want to get out of the car.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit there for a minute because I'm going to be enraged. I don't do bumper to bumper traffic.
You don't.
At all. I don't have the patience for it. And I know that. So there's a whole lot of things that, knowing our relationship, that would have to come into play to make these things work. So do you think that's a fair assessment of things? Do you think that that would work as a mom to just be like, we're going to the fucking park?
I've done that.
Yeah.
We're going to go grocery shopping. Now, when they were younger, I would not have taken them to the grocery store as like a downtime kind of thing. But if I don't have dinner figured out and I need to go grocery shopping and the kids get a free cookie out of it because we're going to stop by the little bakery, it's a time to get out of the house. It's also a moment for adult interaction. If I need to ask somebody for help, hey, where's this thing? Thank you for not saying me know where it's at.
Right.
I needed the adult interaction today. Thank you. And when I go out with the children, they always get complimented on how well behaved they are. They have manners. They're polite. Something that I've really been trying to ingrain in them is we are now out in the wild. We are in other people's spaces now. We are not going to be lackadaisical and lollygagging and all these other kinds of things. We need to be situationally aware. We need to pay attention to what space that we're taking up. If you guys are zigzagging like alligators up and down the aisle and people are trying to push their carts, that's not how I raised you, you feral animals. But then there's adult interaction and the other parents who stop and talk to me. Oh, how old are your kids? They're this age. How old are your children? These kinds. And the kids get to have a little moment of goofiness with other children. It's not community, but it's socialization. And I think that that's important. A lot of my bad days are because I'm in my head.
Yeah. You got to keep in mind, too, that kids are social creatures and they are learning to develop, and they rely on the parent in the house, especially in a single child household, for attention. So if you're too busy scrolling your phone and you're not giving them attention, of course, they're going to go try to find some way to entertain themselves. And that's how messes happen or trouble starts. Like, if you give your kids that little bit of extra time, normally that shit stops. Yeah. So, and granted, like you said earlier, there's nothing that you can do to help me with my job on my bad day. And can I come home and help clean up and do all of that shit? Absolutely. Yeah. Could I come home and take the kids to the park so that you could take a bath? Sure. That could be a thing, right? Like, but if you don't tell me what it is you need, how am I supposed to serve you in that aspect? Right. And this was the conversation that was the second part of the reply to that woman. I can tell if you're having a really bad day. And if I have to go, how can I serve you? And you go, I don't know. Well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Right? Like, if you don't know what you need, I surely can't know what you need. What if you're touched out and are extremely overwhelmed and I try to hug you? That's not going to make anything better. It's going to make it worse because now you're touched out and here I am holding you, trying to compress you in place. I know that compression works for you when you're upset. That might not be the answer right now. So I have to know what you need. And sometimes those text messages look like, I know you're going to take your 45 minutes to shower and eat and all that shit, and then you're going to go outside and do whatever you were going to do, but I need you to take the kids so that I can do X, Y, and Z. If I came home and I was doing my decompression thing and I knew you were going to take a bath, and I'm jumping in the shower and then I'm going to shave and just get changed and clean, as soon as I'm done in the shower, I can start the bathtub. Mm-hmm. There's a teamwork that happens that might see, and even that may not work. And here's why. We have a big fucking bathtub. It takes about 30 minutes to fill that tub. So that's 30 minutes that I'm trying to serve you to speed up that time for you to decompress. But if you're going to use that bathtub time to put out your candles and bath salts and bath bombs, and that is part of your decompression process, I've now robbed you of that.
Right.
So if I don't know what you need, how can I know what you need? And that could be a romantic thing where I'm going to go draw you a bath. I'm going to let you do your thing. I'm going to take kids out. That 30 minutes of robbed time could be, the thing that sets you apart from having a good evening or a bad evening. I don't know these things. And if I'm like, how can I serve you? And you say, I don't know. Well, I don't know either. So I'm going to just go somewhere, I guess, or go watch TV until you know what you need so that I can serve you. I also couldn't imagine having an agreement set up where you get to stay home all day with the kids and take care of the house. And I'm supposed to go out and provide and work and do the thing to come home and make sure that we have the things that we need. And then I walk into a fucking disaster day after day after day after day, and only to hear that it's too hard. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that it's too hard. I believe that you got sidetracked with other things, or you decided to take, a nap when the kids took a nap, or
you're just not mentally okay.
Right. Or you're not mentally okay. Or maybe, and this is not going to be one of those things that's an all the time thing. Maybe you decided to spend an extra hour today reading with the kids and helping sight words and trying to teach them something. And that extra hour is why the dishes aren't done. That's a very different scenario than there's shitty diapers laying on the coffee table. There's fucking toys all over the living room. The dishes haven't been done. Food hasn't been started. Like,
countertop is sticky.
You've chosen to do nothing all day today other than interact with the kid, and you can't do that. You need to throw that baby on the hip and do the other things that you need to do so that we can live our life, because I can't tell my boss, sorry, guy, I just didn't feel it today.
Right.
Day after day after day. When he comes in and goes, hey, how much work have you accomplished this week?
It's too hard.
And I'm like, yeah, man, I've sat here and doom scrolled TikTok because my job is stressful. He's going to go, okay, well, you're fired.
Yeah, find somebody else who can do it.
Let me find somebody more capable. And then what? We can't fire our wives. You can't fire your husband. You can divorce them.
Yeah.
But that's not conducive to a healthy relationship if you just fucking quit every time things get difficult. I really have a hard time with it's the hardest job you'll ever do. It's not. It's
what is?
The stay-at-home wife thing or stay-at-home mom thing. I don't believe that. If you've got a bunch of kids and they're all young, I'm sure that it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. I think first responders have a much more stressful job.
I would believe that. I think that oil rig workers, I think that I got to be honest, there's a whole lot of things that I would rather do or that I would rather not do as to being a stay-at-home dad.
I just want to be a stay-at-home.
Yeah.
Like, there is not, I mean, the podcast is a job and I enjoy doing this. Outside of this, I can't think of a single job that I would want to do. I'm good on all of it. I get to maintain the environment at home. I set the pace for what the home is going to feel like. When you walk into a job, you have 10 other people bringing their moods into there.
Yes, you do.
I'm good on that.
All those other personalities are going to dictate your day as well, unless you can throw in some headphones and just weld or whatever it is that you need to do for the day. You throw in a customer service position, it's a whole other process because you're dealing with everybody else's bullshit as well as your coworkers.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a whole lot that goes into all of that. And like, again, I just don't think that it's the hardest job you'll ever do. I think that has become a cop-out. It's become a cop-out. It's a way for us to feel bad for the women who choose to stay at home with their kids. Yeah. I wouldn't, if I had to take care of the kids all day, why would I, if they were mine, right? Like they're yours. If I birthed them, why would I want to not be around them and not be a part of their growing up and being in that, like, that's exciting.
Right.
And if your kids are fucking demons and they're running around the house being complete fucking terrors, that's because
reflective of you.
It absolutely is. That is on your parenting.
Yeah. And you said that phrase of it's the hardest job that they'll ever do. I also hear a lot of women say that being a mother is a thankless job. I get thanked all the time by my husband, by my children. I hear all the time, Mommy, you're the best. Mommy, thank you so much for the things that you do. Mommy, thank you for making us dinner. Thank you for loving us. All of those kinds of things. If you're not feeling appreciated in your role, it's because there's not been a demand of that.
Or you've not done anything to have earned
Oh, yeah, that's
that
a very
appreciation.
good point. Yeah. I forget that not all moms are like me.
Yeah. There's also a very real understanding that even it's not a job. That's like saying I have to babysit my kids. No, you have to parent the motherfucker. It's not a job. You're a parent. There is a difference there. And if you need to be thanked for being a mother, don't be a mother. That's not how that works. Like me telling you that you're a good mom or telling you, hey, I'm proud of you, and the kids saying you're the best mom ever, like that's indicative of the relationships that we have.
Yeah.
Right? That speaks to a bond and the effort put in. But you decide to have a child because, we have no say in that. Once we do the deed, it's entirely up to you whether or not the baby's born. So in the event that the baby is born, that's a decision that you made, regardless of how we feel about it. So you need to be thanked for that. Like, fuck that. I don't like that mentality.
Yeah.
Why don't you work on being the best mom you can be and raise good kids, and the relationship that you've established with them over the course of their lifetime, let that be the reward for being a mom.
Yeah.
When they bring your grandkids over for Christmas and holidays and are excited to spend time with you and just sit on the porch in your old age and have conversations, there's your thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, I know that you sacrificed when I was younger, and I really appreciate all that. There's your thank you. You're not going to get it day in and day out. Nobody deserves that. I don't get thanks for doing my fucking job. I mean, you thank me because...
I was like, what?
Any other job that you've ever worked at, has your boss ever come back and been like, hey, thanks for doing your job today?
No.
Because it doesn't work that way. You have an expectation. You're getting paid to do something. The payment for being a parent is you're raising good children that are going to be a functional member of society, and your bloodline's going to continue.
And in your old age, they're going to want to take care of you.
Hopefully want to take care of you and not stick your ass in a retirement home.
Yeah.
But we don't get thanked for our jobs either. So that's just a pity me mindset. I fucking hate that. I view that as well, feel sorry for me. I'm a stay-at-home mom.
I'm not appreciated.
And it's so hard. Give me attention on the internet. Because my man's at work right now and I need somebody to fill that void in me.
Yeah.
My kid's screaming. I need to feel a little bit good about myself. Let me post a selfie with my tits out. Because we see that shit all the time.
We do.
And I'm not saying that the person that left that comment was that person. I'm ranting at this point.
Yeah.
Because there are things that drive me up the fucking wall. And I'm tired of being overly nice about shit.
I get that. I went on a whole little tangent about oppression on the Good Wives episode just now.
Did you?
Yeah.
I had my headphones on in there. I try not to listen to that in case I have to edit it.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to, or in case I choose to edit it, because I don't want to hear it twice. Mm-hmm. It's the hardest thing about all this. I check out so fast because we've already had these conversations that I don't want to listen to this shit anymore.
I get that.
So I realized that last year I worked really hard on my compassion. That was one of the big things. I wanted to talk to the people who were writing in as if they were our kids and give them advice and make them feel, seen.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that, one, that's very difficult for me. I don't think that I need to coddle people. I understand that there are people out there who might need that just might need that little bit of compassion in the moment, but ultimately, us feeling sorry for you is not going to fucking get your life together.
Right.
Us being like, oh, it'll be okay, might make you feel good right now, but unless you make change,
it's not.
Who gives a shit? Like, you can have everyone in the world saying it'll be okay and loving on you. It'll feel good for a day or so, and then you're going to be right back to where you were because you've done nothing to change it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I do want to continue to work on my compassion, and I would like to continue to find that balance between telling somebody like, hey, what you're going through is valid. That sucks for you, and I understand it. And then still, what are you going to do about it? And I understand that that's the difference between, most relationships, women want a man to just let them vent to them, right? That's why early in season 1, we used to say, do you need to vent or are you trying to problem solve? Because men want to problem solve. I don't want to hear the same thing 15 times. If this has been an ongoing thing for the last 4 months and you've done nothing to do anything about it, to change it or correct the problems, I don't want to hear about it anymore.
Right.
Because it's your fault at this point. You've been aware of it for 4 months. You've done zero to fucking change it. So at this point, I'm going to just completely disassociate while you're going through it, and then it's going to feel cold. So what are some of the things that you would need? What are some of the things that would work for you best for decompression as a stay-at-home mom in the event that all of those things were the case?
Time away from the children.
Okay. So would me running your bath be a good thing or a bad thing?
It would be a good thing.
Okay.
I hate how long it takes for it to fill. So that would definitely check a thing of aggravation off of my list.
Okay. Would you take that extra 30 minutes to stay in the tub longer, or would you find something else to do? Like, because it does take a hot minute to fill up the bathtub. It's maybe not 30 minutes. It could be 15, but it feels like forever.
It does feel like forever.
Big fucking tub.
Lay on the bed, right? If the bath is going, you've started it. The children are settled wherever the children are settled, and you have officially taken over. I'm going to seclude myself for a little bit. And I like to read in the bath too. So get through a couple of chapters, and then either once I'm feeling better or the bath water's cold, then I'll get out.
Okay, so let me ask you this then.
Okay.
What happens if you take that bath, and while you're taking that bath, I take the kids outside to play, and that's all I did was play with the kids.
Okay.
And you come out and the house is still trashed, dishes still aren't done, dinner has not been started, the poopy diapers that were left on the coffee, or none of our kids are in diapers. I'm literally just making shit up.
Yeah.
Poopy diapers are still on the coffee table, which is fucking disgusting for those of you who don't throw away your diapers.
Yeah.
But you come out to all of that after your fresh bath, you are feeling good about yourself, and you walk right into that whirlwind of chaos. And I'm outside having a fucking blast with the kids playing soccer, swinging on them swing sets, holding the baby, whatever. How are you going to feel about that?
Did I ask you to?
I don't know.
Well, that matters.
What if you didn't?
Then clearly it wasn't important enough to be communicated.
Well, I mean, I could see the house as a disaster.
Right.
Because that's the argument.
But that's my job.
They can see it.
But that's my job.
Okay.
Right? When I walk into Marshall's, I can see empty hangers sitting on the rack. I'm not going to be like, hey, go do your job. Hey, these are empty. Do you have any shirts that I can throw up here real quick? I don't know. That ruffles my feathers.
Why?
Because nobody else expects anybody else to get their job done besides them.
Right.
It's viewed differently because it's a household. You still need to ask for help. So if all of these things are left undone and all I've asked you to do is tend to the children, I do not expect you to do the dishes. I didn't ask you to tend to the house. I asked you to tend to the children. Now, if the big stressor for me was the house needs to be cleaned up, I would have said that. Get all the poopy diapers off the table. Would you mind doing the dishes? The floor needs to be vacuumed, and the sound of the vacuum's too overwhelming for me right now. And then if it's not done after I asked you to do it, our relationship's fucked up.
Why?
Because we live to serve one another. You make it a point to do the things I ask you to do. If you can't get it all done, or you can't do everything I've asked of you, you're going to get what you can done. If I asked you to tend to the house and you did the dishes and cleaned up the shitty diapers, thank you, babe. None of this is under your wheelhouse of things to get done, and I appreciate you taking the time to do so. To help me. People tend to forget that.
The help aspect?
The help aspect.
Right, because they expect it.
And it's done out of love.
So how do you, okay, let's say you had the bath. And this is not a question. I'm just going to rant for a second.
Okay.
Let's say you had the bath. I'm outside doing the kid thing. You wanted me to straighten up around the house or do the dishes or whatever. And I went outside to play with the kids instead to get that energy out of them, to get some quality time with them. Because, let's be face it, most people that work a 40 to 60 hour work week don't get a whole lot of time with their kids.
Right.
And they want to connect with the children in that moment. And you come out, see me with the kids, and I come in and you go, what the fuck? I wanted you to do these things. Not I asked. I wanted you to take care of the house. Why didn't you clean up? You can see that it's a mess. And I just come in after having a great time with the kids laughing and playing.
Bonding.
And you were having an attitude, and you were the disruption in the house right now because you were unhappy with the way things are going after I'm feeling really good about my parent time with the kids. how do you think our relationship is going to be for the rest of the night? Versus,
good.
right, not good. Versus me coming in and going, hey, did you have fun? And I'm like, yeah, we played soccer, whatever. Did you have a good bath? Yeah. The house really needs to be clean. Can you help me? Yeah, what do you want me to do? Dishes?
Right.
You want me to pick up diapers? You want me to vacuum? How can I help you? Right? Because now you've approached me with love. I had a great bath. I see you were out there playing soccer with the kids. They were laughing. Did you guys have fun?
Thank you for giving me a break.
We're bonding. Now you're coming at me from a place of love while I'm elevated, happy. How can I serve you? What do you need from me right now? I don't understand how people go straight to combative, negative, nagging, bitching situations. And I would view it the same way if it was a man coming home and going straight to, what the fuck, why didn't you clean the house?
Yeah.
Instead of going, hey, normally the house is clean when I come home. Did you have a hard day today? What happened? Like, there needs to be an understanding of what's going on in each other's lives. And if you can't communicate that, you don't need to be in a relationship. If you are not emotionally mature enough to have a fucking conversation with somebody and like work through things, you are not emotionally mature enough to be invested emotionally with another human being, let alone have a child.
Right.
Because what's going to happen when the kid doesn't do exactly what you say? You're going to become a tyrant and scream and yell and fucking freak out.
And dole out punishments.
Right. Stop crying or I'll give you something to fucking cry about, and beat your kids. Like, you have to be emotionally regulated. You need to be under control of your, who you are as an adult. And communication is everything. And it's not just verbal. If I came in and tried to kiss you and you turned your head to me, that says a whole lot. That silence is loud as a motherfucker. Like, now our evening is not right. Like, there's a whole lot that goes into that. I really do think that a lot of people are in relationships with people they can't fucking stand.
I agree with that. I think that people get into relationships out of
necessity.
Not even just necessity. They don't see the person that they're getting with. They just see that it's somebody who can fill voids in them. They'll take anybody's application. They'll accept anybody who submits an application. There's no standard. There's no expectations. You're a dick and you make me feel good sometimes, so let's do this life thing together instead of, do we have the same values? Do we have the same morals? What does your parenting style look like? What is your end goal in life?
Yeah, I said necessity too because of people who are just tired of being alone. They're afraid of being alone. It's a necessity for them to be with somebody.
Yeah.
But I actually agree with that too. I think that it's probably more common that people get together out of lust.
Yes.
And wanting to fill that void of loneliness because they're fun in the moment. But when life really actually starts to life,
yeah,
bills are due. You guys are struggling financially. Somebody gets fired. Now there's a baby in the mix because babies change everything. And I don't care if you got 1 or 2 kids or 3 kids or 5 kids. A new baby changes that entire living situation.
Yes, it does.
And most people don't want to have that conversation. They think that, well, we did it before, we'll do it again. Well, if your relationship is already thin as a motherfucker and you have that baby, things can get a whole lot harder. We know between postpartum depression, finances, and the lack of intimacy after the first year of a child's life, a lot of relationships end during that first year.
Yes, they do.
And I think a lot of that comes down to people not doing their due diligence in the courting and dating phase. Why I understand also that money's fucked up for a lot of people right now. Like, I'm not oblivious to the fact that people are struggling, but to stay in a relationship, especially when you have kids, simply because it's financially more, because it's financially easier, not more, but financially easier, or even a necessity because you can't afford to do it on your own and live the current lifestyle that you have. Well, what are you going to do about it? If this has been the last 3 years of your life and you've not tried to change things to make your life to the point where you can make an exit strategy, you're just going to stay in an abusive or shitty situation for the rest of your life and just be miserable and resentful to everyone around you, including your kids, because this isn't the life you wanted.
People will nix any type of solution to the situation they're in because it's not going to be an instant gratification moment.
Right.
Sometimes an escape plan could take months. It could take years. People have to build up savings. People might have to buy a car. I'm willing to, if I were in a situation where I didn't feel safe, I was physically getting beat on, the children were getting beat on, whatever was happening, I'm willing to leave the state and go stay with relatives or a best friend in Wisconsin. I don't have a best friend in Wisconsin. That's just made up whatever.
Right.
But I'm willing to uproot my life and my comfort to have that long-term goal met of my life is going to be happy. I'm going to have joy again. And I've suffered for this long. I would rather suffer in making changes than suffer in a situation where I feel I have no control.
I want to just add on to this that's an extreme.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not most people's situations,
No,
right?
it's not.
But it is also noteworthy or important to not skim over the fact that the people who are in those situations that are leaving and trying to make an exit plan, that is actually the most dangerous time for them, because when people get killed or extremely fucked up in those situations, it's because they were trying to leave.
Right.
So if you are in that situation and you're trying to make an exit strategy, you need to be very thorough, which is why it could take a year or 2 years.
Right.
But you need to not lose sight of the goal. Just because things get a little bit okay for 5 or 6 months, once you've made that decision to take your exodus, you need to fucking do that. See it through.
100%.
Yep. With the cuts, we're probably gonna be around 45 minutes. I think we've covered a lot, and I don't want to ramble. I want this to be an impactful episode, so let's wrap up.
Okay, I agree.
With that being said, guys, remember you are the author of your own life,
So grab a pen.
and we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.